Hello and welcome to A Spirited Debate. I'm Lauren Green. Briarwood Presbyterian Church in Birmingham, Alabama may well become the first church in the country to have its own police force. The state Senate approved it last week. The House is set to hear a similar bill this week. The church says it needs a police force to keep safe its school and 4,000-member congregation. Here to weigh in is Christopher Hale, Executive Director for Catholics and Alliance for the Common Good, and Dr. Robert Jeffress, Senior Pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas and a Fox News contributor. Welcome to you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Dr. Jeffress, I want to start with you because your church is quite large. I mean, it's about actually larger than the church in Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah. What do you think about a church having its own police force?
Well, you know, at first blush, this seems like a terrible idea, that it blurs the distinction between government and church. And at our church, we hire Dallas police officers off duty to help with protection. But my view has changed a little bit after talking with my brother, who is a 30-year Dallas police veteran. And he said, look, as long as they perform limited functions, it really relieves the burden off taxpayers. The problem here, Lauren, is that Alabama does allow universities to have private police forces, and for them not to allow churches would be discriminatory. I mean, some critics say, well, churches could cover up crimes. Do we think universities, noting the recent sex scandals at Penn State and Baylor, don't cover up crimes as well? Look, I think we can't be discriminatory here. If hospitals, colleges can do it, churches ought to do it, as long as it's limited and regulated by the government.
I want to get to that issue of the covering up of crime in just a second, but Christopher, I want to ask you this question because we've seen churches become targets of lone gunmen, like the case in South Carolina where a shooter killed 9 people. Is it time for churches to take matters into their own hands with a private police force?
You know, that theologically is problematic from my perspective. I think that really we see a church as a place that is sacred, that is holy, that's a sanctuary. It's really hard for me to imagine securitizing, if you will, these places. I think it's fine that Robert's church hires Dallas police officers. I think it's fine to have outside security force. The problem here that I see is, you know, I'm Roman Catholic. And the biggest scandal in really, I would say, the past century of the Catholic Church, you could argue throughout history of the Catholic Church in the West, has been our cover-up of sexual abuse and pedophilia scandal. Mm-hmm. And we need civil authorities. We need criminal authorities that are outside of the church context. I think it's really important that we have this separation here. And, you know, you're right. The Penn State scandal you saw and what you've seen in Baylor as well. We know that college police forces are not good at stopping crime, and they're not good. They cover up crime too. So I think we need to really look at this as a stopping point and saying this is enough.
You know, and Dr. Jeffress, let's explore this a little bit further, because this criticism that churches with their own police force could cover up crimes, and it's really the reason because they're interested more in protecting the church's reputation. Much the same way as we've seen on the college campuses. That's supposedly the reason why behind, you know, they might have covered up. Your thoughts on that?
Well, look, the fact is churches, hospitals, universities that have these private forces are required by law to report crimes. So if they don't do so, they are in violation of the law. And I think it is important for churches and people at churches to feel secure. You know, I have the distinction of pastoring the only church in America that has been specifically targeted by ISIS. So we feel like we need to secure our members and keep them safe, and we do that. But I think we need to understand that God created government to maintain order, to uphold the law. He created the church to promote the gospel of Jesus Christ. So we need as much as possible to keep those functions separate.
Okay, and Christopher, your final thoughts on this.
You know, I think that Robert once again brings up a great point, that there are separate functions of church, there are separate functions of government. This blurs the lines too much. This parish, this church has a better way of pursuing this. I think this is unconstitutional. The state of Alabama is going to spend hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars defending this. They're going to lose in this case. This church needs to find a better way to secure its members. All
right. Well, we'll probably talk again about this subject after they decide in the House and see if this actually becomes a law. Thanks so much, Christopher.
Thank you for having us.
And Robert, for joining me. And please check out my new book, Lighthouse Faith: God is a Living Reality in a World Immersed in Fog. And for the latest headlines, stick with FoxNews.com. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching A Spirited Debate.